Capitol Report is pleased to welcome Pat Colligan, who is the president of the New Jersey State Police Benevolent Association. Good to see you, Pat.
Thanks for having me.
33,000 members.
Yes.
Okay, and the main job of the organization is to?
Advocate for the members, advocate for their pensions, their benefits, their working rights.
I'm sorry, is there an issue with the pension? I hadn't read that.
There's a little issue with the pension I've heard of. I've read about it.
Describe, as you frame the pension crisis in the state going into 2016, what is it?
There's definitely a pension crisis when you look at all the systems. But what we're hoping that happens is that we look at the systems individually, because when you look at the systems individually, the state has obviously neglected to make its full funding. But the towns and counties that contribute to the local side of my system, the police and fireman retirement system, and the local PERS side. So
let's not get jargony.
Okay.
PERS is the public employee the police. Explain it.
The PFRS is the police and firemen's retirement system. PERS is the public employment retirement system. So you have your janitors, nurses, things like that in the PERS system.
Okay. And so you're saying right now, if you compare where the police are to where the educators are compared to other state workers, is it different?
It's vastly different, because on the police side, on the police and fire side, I work for a town. I work for Franklin Township in Somerset County. They've continued to make their payments, as I have, my 10%. They've continued to make their payments.
So you made it, the city has made it, unlike the state, where
the counties have made it to the county employees, county sheriffs.
So what's the problem with the cops then?
There is no problem with the cops. We don't want to be lumped up into the rest of the system, to be quite honest, because there was a point where there was an opportunity to take breaks in the system. There was an opportunity to take a pension holiday. For instance, teachers went down to 3%. At the time, we were at 8.5% of our...
Explain that. Teachers went down to 3.5% contribution?
They were 5 or 5.5%. They had an opportunity when the system was very well funded to go down to 3%. And they took that chance. They took that opportunity that was presented by the state because the systems were really well funded. When it was offered to us, when we were at 8.5%, our leadership said, no, we're going to stay at 8.5%.
Why?
Because you're making your own system strong. You're keeping it strong.
You thought ahead.
And somebody did it. I wish it was me, but they looked ahead and said, no, we're going to keep the system exactly.
And now your contribution is actually higher.
It's 10%,
and
which is near the highest in the country. Sure. I don't know of anybody paying more than 10%.
No, that is high. And the localities, you have a few thousand members who work for the state.
We have some state, we have state park police, state human service police, and our corrections officers.
But aside from that, most of you guys are locals, and the localities have been paying full.
Without fail.
But you guys keep getting lumped into all the public employee pensions, and materially, palpably, how does that affect you?
We're such a small group compared to, I mean, 33,000 with the FOP, near 40,000, the FMBA and the IAFF, which are the two fire unions. We're near 40,000, and we're nowhere near the 200,000+ teachers. So yes, there's an issue, but it's not with our system, and they're being separated actuarially. The state treats them as separate.
But politically, the politicians tend to lump you together. But I'm guessing that the governor separates you, and he loves you. You guys get along fine.
We get along great.
Except Pat Colligan. Maybe I read this the wrong way. Ralph and I talk every day about what we read nationally and in the region. You may have heard the governor's out in the national scene.
I've read that too.
Ralph,
yes.
did you read this right here?
Yeah, I think I did. Why don't you read it for us? See what it says.
Governor Christie, unless I'm mistaken, called you a pension pig?
Yes.
He didn't mean you.
I think it was me. My name was brought up at the law enforcement endorsement in New Hampshire, and he called me a pension pig.
In what context?
And why?
Well, first of all, if you're calling a cop a pig, take away pension pig, because I know how he's backpedaling, but he called a cop a pig.
Yeah. And he said he didn't mean that.
The governor says a lot of things that he'll backpedal later. The governor says that a lot. But when you refer, it's as degrading as you can get. When you're calling a cop a pig, and it doesn't go back to the 60s. I'm still called a pig on the street when you work. It still happens. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was degrading. It really was.
But I don't know what was in his mind, but the question is, why would he even want to do that, given what you explained to us? That you and your fellow policemen and firemen pay 10% to the fund, and that it's fully funded. You would think that politicians would look at you as a model.
Ralph, let's not talk across the board, about the governor in particular.
Yes.
Why do you think?
I think the governor has trouble when he hears the truth. And the truth is, he has not supported us since he was elected. He has not spoken to us since he was elected. And I basically said, we've had no relationship with the government. We've had no opportunity to bring our ideas forward to the governor's office.
But again, I repeat, but why? Since you seem to be a model, that's a functioning model of what a public pension should be.
I would think that you probably have to ask the governor's office, because we know it's a great system. We know it's a healthy system. As a matter of fact, if you just isolate the local side, it pays out in perpetuity. I mean, there is no pension disaster.
But respectfully, Pat, are you together with the other public employee unions? I'll give you, put it out this way. Senate President Sweeney, who will be on another edition of Capitol Report, we talked to him right before he proposed his constitutional legislation for constitutional amendment that would force $3 billion plus of state money that would go to the pension fund. Like it or not, if it passes, the voters pass it, that's it, it goes. Is that a good idea?
It doesn't affect us. It doesn't affect the
doesn't
PFRS.
Affect the police?
On the very small side of the state employees in our system, the very small liability, it will affect. But it does not, that constitutional amendment overall.
Are you getting involved in that fight?
We've remained, we're letting the other unions make their fight, and we're standing and watching,
But since you're not part of the problem, the real problem of the pensions, which is, that they're underfunded, and aside from the political animus that you may have with the governor or other politicians, what do you think about, for example, the governor's commission proposals, that there be a different kind of public employee pensions?
The governor's commission really doesn't address
Any solutions to this?
Is there a solution to it?
Yeah.
The state makes its payments, and there's a way to fix it. There really is a solution.
And you believe the millionaire's tax, which gets us $600 million, which isn't the whole way, clearly.
It's a step. Every little bit helps. Yeah, every little bit helps.
And for new employees, maybe a different kind of pension instead of guaranteed benefits?
When we're not offering what surrounding states are offering, we're not going to attract the best and the brightest. You're going to try. Those are going to, like the superintendents left when their salary cap. There's going to be an exodus of people graduating, looking at our system and saying it's not the same, and leaving.
Pat Colligan, don't let this be the last time you join us on Capitol Report. The president of the New Jersey State Police Benevolent Association, 33,000 members. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.